So you picked this theme of, quote, humble preparation yields confident execution. And so right off the top, I want to ask you, what do you mean by that? Why did you pick this one?
Yeah, so it's something that started early on in my childhood and development through early years of school, growing up in Connecticut, and then certainly going to West Point. The need and the absolute criticality of preparation and how it manifests itself through any walk of life. So for me, I went to West Point and realized really quickly that I was not as great as I thought I was as a high school senior. And then I started to learn the importance of preparing with my teammates, preparing with my peers, whether it's on the baseball field or executing training for the Army. And then as an Army aviator, very much the same. You can spend a whole career, which I did, almost 30 years of flying helicopters and fixed wing airplanes, and both in the operational side and the experimental side, and realizing the importance of what you're doing. It's not necessarily the flight itself; it's all that preparation that goes behind it. So, in order to execute confidently in whatever you're doing, you got to be willing to put the work in.
No, I love that. We're gonna go back in time, of course, and walk through this journey of your life that kind of informs this theme that you're talking about. But I kind of pinged on the word humble, and when I think about, because we've all heard, right, the 10,000 hour rule, practice makes perfect, all of the different expressions that kind of lend itself to this idea that preparation matters, right? But your theme has the word humble in it, and humble really, I mean, okay, the dictionary definition is, quote, having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. And I just found that really intriguing, that you didn't just say preparation, you said humble preparation. And so, can you peel that back a little bit more before we kind of go back in time to your
Yeah, sure,
childhood?
sure.
Yeah, let's talk
Well,
about that.
well, I can tell you, you don't necessarily associate Army aviators with humility. Say, you don't necessarily associate air cavalry soldiers like myself with humility, or frankly, experimental test pilots, or some of the things I was fortunate to do. And quite frankly, I wasn't the most humble guy growing up, and I was a fighter from a very small town in Connecticut, trying to make my way. But what I realized, and I realized you realize it through excellent training. Had a great boss out in Hawaii, one of my first duty stations, who was always willing to do the work and put the work in. So from a humility standpoint, are you getting up an extra hour early and getting to the airfield to do the extra work to get there where nobody's watching you? I talk to my daughters about it all the time. They're both athletes, who basketball players and track stars. And are you going out to the track on a Sunday when nobody's watching you and struggling through a workout and struggling through a time, and just trying to fight your way through it so that you can, when the lights are over, you can execute effectively. Same goes for combat operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. Same goes for experimental flight tests. And quite frankly, same goes for even high level engagements in the Pentagon, or some other things that I was able to do as a project manager.